Right, so I'll have a little chat to you on camera so you can understand it, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, so the word picture the other day was partly trained pedestrian crosses, use of signals by indicator and by arm, yeah?
Yes.
So, between you and me, it didn't go that great, did it?
No.
So I didn't bother picking up on the fact that you never asked me did I want to have a go at the arm signals,
Okay.
which you really should have done unless the examiner told you that at the beginning.
This is out on the drive, I should ask you.
Yeah, and listen to his answer very carefully, or her answer, whatever the case may be. If they say no, I don't want to do them today,
Yep.
don't push it.
Yep.
It's their decision.
Yep.
On central learning.
Yep.
It's their lesson. Okay, we leave it till the next day, yeah?
Yep.
But at least offer.
Yep.
That makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so have you got any questions on the signals and the pedestrian crossings that you want to ask before we actually go into the brief?
No.
You feel okay with it?
I feel okay.
Right, so let me get the word picture is that I've had lessons before, but I've never met you. I had all my lessons in a car like this,
Yes.
which you treat me as a pupil at a partly trained stage, and the subject is use of signals and how I approach and deal with pedestrians and pedestrian crossings, yeah?
Okay. Yes.
So, you know I've had lessons before, so therefore you know I would have used signals,
Yes.
yeah? But there is going to be errors in the signals,
Yes.
timing of signals.
Yep.
It could be late, it could be early, it could be the wrong signals. If we go back to Saturday, when we were out, I indicated right at the end of the road here.
Yes.
Okay, I exaggerated a little bit that he's flashing behind me, but lucky enough we had an instructor behind us, yeah? And obviously he, because I knew him, he knew what we were doing. We were sitting there facing left with a right hand indicator on. How would you handle that differently now?
Okay, well I'll be looking for the signal.
Yeah.
As soon as you put the signal on incorrectly, I should jump in and instantly correct you.
Yeah, what would you say?
So, okay Tony, you're indicating right, we need to be indicating left. Move the indicator arm down to the left.
Yeah, down is the exact thing you should have said, yeah?
Yeah.
Because this is going to be, you know, I know you haven't done loads of learners, but you will come across loads of learners in your career who don't know the right from the left. It's very, very common, yeah? So, by saying to me, if I've got a right hand indicator running, indicate left,
You would
you know,
think you are.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I'm indicating, yeah?
Yeah.
So to diffuse the situation, because we've got a car behind us, just tell me to push the indicator down.
Yeah.
And then you didn't really have any time to go into anything else there because there was a car behind us.
Yeah.
If there hadn't been a driving instructor behind us, if I'd been Joe Bloggs from down the end of the lane here, he probably would have attempted to overtake us, yeah?
Yep.
And trying to overtake us here where
Yep.
you've got learner cars coming in and out all day,
Yep.
you're looking at a potential head-on collision, yeah?
Yep.
So that comes under planning. That's got to be down to you to control the environment around me, yeah?
Yep.
You're not always going to be able to give education there,
Yep.
yeah?
Move on, address it as soon as practically possible
Yep.
afterwards. Yep.
Yeah, it could be even a case of, you know, pull me over, address it there, but you'll still have to address it again on the move, yeah?
Yep.
That make sense?
Yes, it does. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm partly trained,
Yep.
yeah? I've never met you before, but I have had lessons with another instructor, and today he said we were going to look at my use of indicators.
Yes.
He was going to let me have a go at these arm signals,
Yes.
and he was going to teach me how to deal with pedestrian crossings, pedestrians and pedestrian crossings, yeah?
Okay.
You happy with that?
Yep. Happy
Yeah.
with that. Yep.
So I'll leave you the meet and greet for this phase, just call me Tony, yeah?
Okay. Hello Tony, my name's Mike.
Hello Mike, nice
Good
to meet
see
you.
Understand your regular instructor can't make it along today.
No.
Okay, I spoke to him last night and he told me that we were going to be having a lesson on signals and identifying and dealing with pedestrian crossings.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we'll start off with signals. Signals are what you do to indicate which direction you intend to move in or turn in. I'll tell you about when we use signals, when we don't use signals. Okay. Using signals to make turnings into junctions or into side roads. We don't use signals for overtaking parked cars, but we do use signals if we can make a lane change. Okay, so the procedure for that is mirror.
So are you forgetting that I've used signals before?
No, I was clarifying when we used them or when we didn't use them.
Can you ask me?
Okay, yeah, sure. So when would you normally use signals, Tony?
Well, when I'm turning.
When you're turning. When you're turning into a different road?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you use a signal for overtaking a parked car?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
You would. When would you signal overtaking a parked car?
If it was...
Okay. We wouldn't normally signal to overtake a parked car. The way we normally indicate that we're going to move around a parked car is with the speed and the position of the vehicle in the road. Because do you understand why we wouldn't signal to overtake that car? Why it might be confusing?
Well, it might be confusing there. They might think I'm going to turn
They
right.
might think you're going to turn right into the second turning on the right, whereas in fact you're going to move back in and carry on straight. So what would potentially be the consequence of somebody misreading your signal if they were coming in the opposite direction?
Try and avoid the word consequences. They're really
Okay.
getting bored with that now.
Oh,
yeah?
okay. Okay. What may happen if somebody was to misread your right signal for overtaking that vehicle?
They might pull out in front of me.
They might pull out in front of you. Yeah. They might think that you're turning right into the road. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they might slow down and might cause them to stop or swerve.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So when we're crossing the path, when you are signalling and indicating right, we shouldn't be causing oncoming vehicles to slow down, stop or swerve. Okay. What about the timing of the signal? For when would you put the signal on if you were making a right turn into that road?
My instructor tells me the appropriate time.
The appropriate time. So when along this road, when do you think the appropriate time would be? Would it be confusing if we signalled back here to indicate to
Oh,
turn
yeah,
into
the road beforehand, isn't it?
Yeah, because there's a
Yeah,
road
a bit
beforehand. So what do you think the oncoming traffic might mistake that signal for?
Me turning in there.
Turning into the right road, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas you actually pull out and go around the parked car and turn into the right hand road, yeah? So
Right, so have you gone to your arm signals now, yeah?
Okay. So occasionally you might find that for various reasons you need to add to the indicator signals on the outside of the car with an arm signal. Let's say you are coming to the end of a road, a junction, but you're going to turn into a driveway just short of the junction.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So if you were to signal, a lot of the traffic might assume that you're going to turn right into the road when in fact you're going to stop about 10 or 20 yards shorter, turn onto a driveway. Yeah. So we would possibly add in an arm signal, just so that any traffic following you or coming head on might think, oh, that's a bit different. What's he intending to do? So if we were signalling right, we'd use the signal there in that box there, which shows the arm out of the window, palm up, facing forward, yeah, and just keeping the arm still. So in order to do that, you need to make sure that your left hand is on the steering wheel. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just put your left hand onto the steering wheel for me, Tony. Okay. And we would wind your driver's side window down. So just wind the window down all the way, please. Okay. Very important to make sure that you check your door mirror before putting your arm out of the door, just to make sure that it's clear of any traffic coming up behind you, nobody overtaking you, so that it's safe.
Yeah.
And you put your arm out of the window with the palm facing upwards, forwards, palm up, twist.
Up.
Yeah, twist your arm round.
Forward, you mean?
That's it. Yeah. So the palm is facing to the forward of the car. You generally indicate for 3 seconds before bringing your arm back inside the car
Oh.
and putting your hand
Yeah.
on the steering wheel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if we were making a similar turning, let's say just before the junction, we were turning left onto a driveway, you'd need to make a left-hand turning signal. So again, you'd have your left hand on the steering wheel, holding the steering wheel. Very important that at least one hand's holding the steering wheel. Yep. Put your arm, check your mirror, check your door mirror to make sure that it's safe, no cars overtaking. Put your arm out of the window, with the palm facing towards the front of the car, so palm up facing towards the front, and then slowly rotate from the whole of your arm, slowly rotate your arm the same way that your wheels will be turning. So from the shoulder, just wait, that's it. Again, for about 3 seconds, just to indicate, and then bring your hand back in and place it on the steering wheel. Okay? And the last arm signal we would use was if you were slowing down because you'd seen something dangerous in the road, maybe a small child's playing with a ball in the road and you need to slow down. You think it's important to make sure that all the traffic behind you knows that you're slowing down. Maybe you think the brake lights aren't enough. So you put your arm, you check the mirror, left hand on the steering wheel please Tony, you check your door mirror to make sure that it's safe, no overtaking traffic. You put your arm fully out of the window with the palm facing down, that's it, make it facing down, and slowly from the shoulder, no, the whole of your arm please, whole of your arm, that's it, slowly up and down for 3 or 4 seconds until you're clear, that everyone's seeing what's going on, and then bring your hand back in and place your hand on the steering wheel. Okay. Out of roll, how's that?
I'll keep going.
Okay. So there is a procedure we follow when you're looking to make a turn into a junction. Have both hands on the steering wheel. Check your mirrors. Place a signal on. When you've checked the appropriate mirrors, so with the interior left or interior right, we make the turn, making sure the signal stays on.
Yeah, we just
Okay.
we just cover the signals quite considerably there, haven't we?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So covered off the signals, moving on to pedestrian crossings. So we have two sorts of crossings. We have controlled crossings and uncontrolled crossings. Okay. Controlled crossings are controlled by lights, puffing a pelican or a toucan. Uncontrolled crossings are zebras. So the way we identify the controlled crossings, we're looking for the traffic light systems, the poles with yellow boxes halfway up the poles, and sometimes with infrared cameras on top to check for the presence of pedestrians. So as you approach the crossings, another way of identifying where crossings are is the white zigzag lines along the side of the road and down the centre of the road. So as we're driving along, looking up, you get those also on the pedestrian crossings, the white zigzag lines, left and centre. As we're driving along, we're looking for either traffic lights with yellow boxes, control boxes on the side of them, which would identify a control crossing, or in the case of zebra crossings, you're looking for the black and white poles with the amber beacons flashing on the top. Again, you can also be looking for the white lines on the road, but the likelihood is you'll see the beacons or the traffic lights earlier than you'll see the lights, because obviously they stand upright. So as we approach as we identify the crossing, it's important that first thing we do is check our mirrors, make sure you're aware of any vehicles that are behind you and how close they are. So you always check your interior mirror first, and then check your door mirrors just for anything off to the side. Scan ahead. Very important to scan ahead, looking for pedestrians, anybody who potentially might be using the crossings. And also, as we go through, you'll see lights that will identify either little red men on the side of the boxes, or little indicator lights which will flash green or red, which will indicate whether or not a pedestrian has pushed the button to stop it. If there's pedestrians there, or we can see a green light, we'd ease off the gas a little bit. Just control the speed, preparing to stop if necessary, if anybody appears to cross over the crossing. Very important that within these white zigzag lines, you don't park up. Also very important that you don't stop to let a pedestrian out, to let a passenger out, to go and use the shops. Very important that you don't try to overtake on these lines. We don't stop either side, because if you stop on either side, you're obstructing the view for other motorists to see the pedestrians. It's very important that everybody gets seen. Yep. Also very important that we don't park over the crossing. So we don't park over the crossing like this. When we're in a queue of traffic, always leave the crossing clear, because if we've got any partially sighted or blind people want to use the crossing, they could bump into the car, they could easily hurt themselves or wander in between parked cars and get run over. So that's always keep clear of the crossing. Very important that we stop short of those lines. Also very important that you don't beckon anybody across onto the crossing. if you're waiting there and you see pedestrians and they want to use it, you leave the pedestrians to make up their own mind as to when it's safe to enter that crossing. Because if you beckon them across, it's highly possible that somebody else might be coming the other direction, might not see them, might run them over. So that's really how we have to be treating crossings. Bear in mind also that pedestrians can cross anywhere. They don't have to cross at crossings. They could be crossing anywhere. And again, you have to be watching for those pedestrians. If they put their foot in the road, they have priority over you. Now the crossings will either be a complete crossing across a road, and that can be for controlled or uncontrolled, or there might be safety refuges in the middle or fenced off islands. Now in respect of controlled crossings with lights, you always have to, even if there's a safety refuge, you treat that as one crossing because it's got one set of lights. If it's got a complete fenced off island, it'll have two sets of lights and you can treat them as two separate crossings. Looking at the pedestrian crossing, because they're not controlled by lights, if there's a central refuge, you can treat them as two separate crossings. So once the pedestrians are clear of your half of the crossing and they're onto the second half of the crossing, you can then proceed. The minute those pedestrians put their foot onto the road, they have priority and you must stop for them.
Okay.
The other things you mustn't do at the crossings is you mustn't rev your engine or intimidate the pedestrians, because that will make them feel unsafe.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I get some practice then?
Yeah. One last thing, when you're waiting at the line at the crossing, have your handbrake on, because if anybody comes up behind you and runs into you, although it's not your fault, if your handbrake's not on the vehicle, it's not secure.
Did you get a lifeline from your examiner?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it says get on it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Should we get a move on?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So should we?
Yeah. Okay. So, just like you to set yourself up in your seat, Tony. Do your regular cockpit drill.
Yeah.
Okay. So just before we set off, can you tell me what you can see in your rear view mirror?
I can see the hull of the back window.
Yep.
My head is straightened a bit yours.
Okay. And what can you see in the door mirrors?
I can see about 2 finger widths of the car.
Okay.
The car. Sky at the top. Yeah, horizon in the middle.
Okay.
Same in that one.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. When you're ready, we'll proceed.
So we're going to turn left at the end.
Okay, so we'll turn left at the end of the road, please, Tony. So, no, down for left, please. So, indicator down for left, please. Thank you. Okay. So, very important that we indicate in the correct direction we intend to move. Down for left, up for right. What do you think the dangers of indicating incorrectly might be?
Confuse people.
It's a big one.
Confuse people.
Confuse people, absolutely, absolutely. People might think you're turning right when you're turning left.
Yeah, I have a lot of problems with that. I don't know why.
Okay, we'll have to do some work on that. Try and remember that you move your hand on the indicator stalk the same direction you're moving it on the steering wheel to turn that direction. So your left hand will be going down, so the indicator for left needs to go down. If you are steering right, your left hand will be coming upwards, wouldn't it?
Oh,
so
right,
you'd
that
flip
makes
the
sense,
indicator up.
Yeah.
Yeah? Does that make sense, Tony?
Yeah.
Good.
And we're going to turn right.
Okay, we'll turn right at the end of the road, please, Tony. So, which way are you going to flick the indicator stalk?
Up.
Up. Jolly good. Well done.
Actually, can I change my mind? Can we go left, please?
Yeah, we can go left. So indicator down to the left. That's it. And why is it important to indicate in the correct direction?
So I don't confuse people.
So we don't confuse people. Absolutely right. So what might confusing people with wrong indication cause to happen?
Good thing I'm going one way and get shocked when I find I'm
Yeah.
going the other way and end up hitting me.
Catch them out by surprise. Okay, so we're looking out for crossings. So we're looking out for any traffic lights with yellow boxes on the poles, or we're looking out for those black and white poles with the orange beacons on the top. And what are you going to do if you see a crossing, Tony? What's the first thing you're going to do? what would you check when you see a crossing? Check your mirrors.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. Check your mirrors. Make sure you're aware of what's behind you. So looking ahead at these traffic lights, can we see any boxes halfway up those poles? Any yellow boxes, control boxes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we know that there will be pedestrians crossing here.
But I just treat these as normal traffic
Just treat
lights,
these
don't
as normal traffic lights, yeah. So if we were driving along and we identified a crossing, you check your mirrors, yeah, and then what's the next thing we do? Look ahead for pedestrians. Look ahead for, scan the road ahead for pedestrians,
right.
yeah. And if you see any pedestrians approaching the crossing, as you're approaching, what would you do then? Look to see what they're going to do. See if they're going to step out onto the crossing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what would you do if they stepped onto the crossing?
Stop.
Stop. Good. And what would you not do at the crossing?
Sorry?
What would you not do to the pedestrians at the crossing?
Not stop.
Not stop. What else would we not do? Wouldn't beckon them across, would we?
Oh no,
Do you
sorry.
remember? We wouldn't beckon them across. Why wouldn't we beckon them across? Do you remember? Because it wouldn't be safe, would it?
No, unless I know them.
Unless, well, no, not if you know them. It doesn't really matter. It still wouldn't be any more safe if you knew them.
Am I
Because-
going to turn left?
We're going to turn left, please. Good. So down for left. Good. Correct indication. Excellent. Because if we beckon them across, other drivers might not have seen them, particularly at night, and it might run them over. I don't think they thank you for that. So looking ahead, can you see the crossing there? See the flashing amber beacons?
Oh, I see beacons.
Check your mirrors.
Yeah.
Check your mirrors,
All right,
please.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Scanning for looking for
Oh,
pedestrians. No, there's no pedestrians there. Good. Okay. So as we see in crossings, can we see the crossing up there ahead? Nice long way. See the flashing amber beacons?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So check your mirrors, please, Tony. Check your mirrors. That's it. Check your right door mirror. Yeah, if we're slowing down, someone might be overtaking us. So scanning ahead. Can you see any pedestrians? Can't see a lot at the moment. There's a big old bus in the way. So we've slowed right down and stopped for the bus, which is good. Gives us plenty of time to scan ahead looking for the pedestrians. So can we see anybody at the moment? Big old van in the way. So can you see any pedestrians up there, Tony? We can see some people, can't we?
Yeah.
So, oh, they're not quite at the crossing yet. Is there anybody waiting on that side? Are you looking for me, Tony?
I'm scanning.
Yeah, scanning. Good. They decided not to stop. Okay. We scanned ahead, didn't see any pedestrians, so it was safe to proceed, wasn't it? So looking ahead, can you see another crossing for me, Tony? What can you see ahead there?
Oh,
See any
flashing
beacons?
beacons, yeah.
So what are you going to do next? Check the mirrors?
Check.
Check the mirrors, good. So looking ahead, scanning ahead for pedestrians.
Is that important to check the mirrors?
It is very important to check the mirrors. Why do you think it's important to check the mirrors?
I'm not too sure. Really.
You're not too sure. I want to see if there's any cars